Hi, it's Michelle. We are backstage at Big Snow Show 18, and my phone just dunged because I am I'm an amateur.
You're very popular.
Thank you. Yeah, that too. I'm here with Andrew McMahon, who has been a huge part of the station. This is our 18th year of doing this.
Yeah.
So you've done this once. You've played every room in this venue.
Yes.
Do you have a favorite room in this venue?
I mean, it's probably tied between the ballroom and the rave. I would think. But there's more people in the ballroom, so you got to.
It's further for you to go across the crowd with an inflatable.
That's true. Yeah. Tonight I'll just be sitting at a piano in a very calm fashion.
Is it an inflatable piano?
The piano is not inflatable. that would be a nice transition, though, if I could somehow just float out into the crowd on the piano.
You play the float, and then you just lay on it, and somebody puts you out.
That would be a liability for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the cool things that you've been working on, and I'm sure you get nagged, I don't know, daily, about when's something corporate going to do a reunion? You made it happen. We saw you in Vegas last year. It was so fun.
So fun.
What finally made you go, okay, we're ready to do this now?
Yeah. After
all this time?
I think it was... It started, it was at my 40th birthday party, and I was already doing a birthday bash for myself, which is, I guess, something you do for yourself when you're 40. I
did one actually here in the basement.
Yeah.
I'm on board.
So you're on board. So I had a headlining show in Anaheim, and all the guys were going to be coming with me to Vegas the next day anyway. So we were like, basically the tour was going to end there, and then we were all going to go to Vegas, and I was like, what do you say, like, we just surprise people with a set, And so they all came out, and we did 6 songs and didn't tell anybody. It was just like Encore came out, and all of a sudden all the boys roll out the original lineup, and we went through 6 tunes, and I think it was just the vibe. Like, it was just such a different vibe, right? Like, we did a 10-year reunion that wasn't the full lineup. It was everybody but Will was with us, and which was great, but it was kind of like checking that box.
Sure.
Like, hey, we're going to do this for fans, and like we should do this. This was much more like, oh man, they're my like brothers that I learned to play music in a garage with, And I think because at coming up on that age, I just like put out the book, and just the energy was different. It was just kind of like, oh my gosh, this is like so nice to just be with my friends again, and so then we were young, and I think we were all just like we put up that sideshow at the House of Blues that you were at.
Yeah, I was at. Yep.
And it like sold out in like a minute.
Yeah.
And I feel like it just surprised us. We didn't know that there was that level of like. I mean, I don't even think we'd sold out that House of Blues when we originally toured,
back in 97.
Yeah. And we sort of slowly started putting shows up, and then we were finally like, okay, this is like, we're having too much fun.
Yeah.
And I think it was because we came at it from that place. It felt like we were back in school, and there was we all have our own lives, and there was no drama. And it was just like, this is just a way to celebrate like this friendship and these songs that we made together.
Was it, obviously, when you've done your different iterations of Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness and Jack's Mannequin, you've always performed a something corporate song or two in a set. Was it kind of fun to be like, oh, now I'm actually playing with the guys I made these songs with, where you're like, wait a minute, oh my God, you guys are all here.
Yeah, I think that for sure. And I also think, I underestimated just how unique the bond that you share with the people that you like. We learned to play music. All of us knew how to play music going into the band on some level, but we really learned how to play music together, the 5 of us, and so there's just something, there's some special DNA that goes into like being with your friends in a garage as kids, figuring out how to do it, period. We got lucky that we got to be a big band and got to tour the world. But like then to get to revisit it and have so many people be excited, and then to just be standing on stage and have that like that extra level of connection you're never going to have with anybody else.
Right.
It's like your first love or something,
Totally.
and like we got to like make out again,
under the shirt or under the shirt over the bra. Second base.
Something like that.
Yeah, it's been really fun to watch, and if we do this in sort of a Taylor Swift era, right? You've got the Something Corporate era, you've got the Jax Mannequin era, you've got the Andrew McMahon in the Wilderness era. What's your next era going to be?
I'm still trying to figure that out. Okay. I honestly I sort of drew this like pencil sketch in the air before we decided to go out with Something Corporate, where it's just like, I feel like I'm finally like in a place in my life where I actually can just appreciate all of these things I've had the joy of making with so many amazing collaborators and friends and artists, and I kind of was like, well, I'm going to do this with Jax next year. I think, when you're young and you're firing on all cylinders and you're just freaking out, and it's all about, can we get bigger? And you're thinking about it differently, right? And I'm in this moment where I was like, I'm just gonna take like this walk through my personal history for a second, and get to stand on the stage with the guys that I made that music with. And instead of like projecting like, okay, what's the next song and what's the next hurdle or mountain we can, try and ascend, it's like, what if I can just sit in this music for a minute and say like, wow, I got to do this, and get to do that with fans who were there for that experience, and new fans that have come along, along the way, and I feel like maybe through doing that, it will illuminate whatever is meant to come next.
Absolutely.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it'll find itself.
I'm kind of walking back through my life just less, can I swear? Just less fucked up and a little more reverent. I think for some of the things that I missed along the way, you know?
Sure.
And it's
because you're in it.
Yeah.
Right? You don't pay attention to it because you're just moving.
And I have perspective, it's like I just look at life a lot differently than I did when I was, in my 20s and just figuring shit out.
Yeah. You touched on Jax Mannequin. Everything in Transit is going to have a big anniversary soon.
Yeah, it's going to be 20.
That's bananas.
It's crazy.
So are you guys going to do like some front to back album stuff? Would you have anything planned for that yet, or not quite yet?
We've got a lot planned, actually.
Ooh.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, it already was announced that we're going to do We Were Young next year with Jax, but we're going to do like it's going to be broken up into a couple of legs, but we're going to do proper tour dates with Jax Mannequin
hopefully in
next
Milwaukee.
year. I believe there is a date,
Yes.
but I don't think we'll do it as like a Everything in Transit tour specifically. Obviously, most all that music's going to get played.
Sure.
In a 2-hour set, I can almost play the whole catalog.
Yes.
So
plus a couple 2-3 others.
Yeah. So but I don't, like we've done the like the Transit revisited thing, and those songs are so much a part of what that band is that we'll do all of that. But I really want to do like a proper Jax Mannequin set that's like that's for people who a lot of people didn't get to see that band either,
right.
like
absolutely,
and like thanks to your station and a bunch of others, there are so many people that like found out about the Wilderness and then have like had to work their way backwards,
and that's how it happens now.
And so I'm excited to like, and I was hanging out with Bobby this past week, and we were just like we're gonna just lean in so hard and just like try and very much the same way we did with Something Corporate. I think people were surprised, and I was surprised. I think it was the best Something Corporate ever sounded was on those dates, and I'd like to do that for the band and for fans for next year.
Yeah. It's so cool seeing that evolution and how you've navigated it with grace and with I mean
it was messy at times.
It was messy, but I won't find anybody in this world that'll be like, Andrew McMahon is a dick. Like everyone is like, he's just a sweet I mean there's always a few, right? Of course. Let's name them. Name. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, like you've done it. You've navigated your career with grace and appreciation, and your fans know that and they respond to that. The last question I have is, one of the things I love about you is that I've seen you everywhere, from an Apple store to Summerfest to pandemic drive-in movie theaters. You did a cruise. You look a little tan. You got out of that tan. So there's a cruise where you do all of your music.
Yeah.
You did your first one in November?
This was the first one that was my own boat, yeah.
There's a second one planned already for 2026.
That's right.
So you'll want to get on the boat for 2026.
Please.
But when the boat is done, when do you do the space tour? When you go to Mars?
Did you sign me up? I'm telling you, as soon as they're sending people, I'm gonna.
I got a guy.
Yeah.
I'll hook you up with that Mars show. It's gonna be insane.
I'm like, it's so funny because with all of the talk of there being potential actual space
houses,
just to go. I just want it to, even if it's just that trip around, whatever. I don't know if it'll be music oriented. I think I'll probably be focusing on looking out the window, but I want to go so bad.
Yeah. You've had a lot of celestial themes.
Yeah.
In your career,
it's kind of like, I think I always felt like I was some sort of an alien from the time I was like a little kid. It was just always just like, whoa, what's out there, and yeah, it's worked its way into so many of my songs, and I apologize to anybody who's listened to me over the years who's like, oh man, another fucking space song. But,
never.
But it's just I can't help but look at the stars.
Yep, we'll get you there somehow. We're getting you the first space concert ever.
Like one of the highlights of Something Corporate, period, was we got a call that they had woken up the astronauts in space on the space station with the astronaut, and I was just like, I was like smiling for days. I was like, that's the coolest shit
That's
ever.
an accomplishment.
Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, not everybody can say that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Andrew, thank you for the time. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for always having me. Yeah,
absolutely. We're excited to have him tonight. Maud's son, who's opening before you, is like his biggest fan. He was like crying to us about how much Kavanaugh Park meant to him.
I know. So here's the funny thing. So I'm so eternally insecure. So I was doing sound check, and I heard somebody like kind of like singing like as I was finishing a song, and I was like, is that dude making fun of me right now? And I was just like, whatever. So I finished the sound check, and homie just like came running up and gave me like the biggest hug. I was like, oh my God, thank you. And so, I mean, it's probably against my better instincts to play a ballad when all these songs are going to sound like ballads, but I'm going to play Kavanaugh Park for dude. Yeah.
We love that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Andrew, again, thank you.
Thank you. So good to see you.